The Russian military has failed to achieve its principal objectives in the weeks since its operation into Ukraine started, despite assembling an invading force of roughly 200,000 men and thousands of armored vehicles supported by combat planes and warships. Ukraine's allies have dispatched 17,000 anti-tank missiles to the front lines in an attempt to slow down Russia's onslaught. The larger they are, the harder they fall has never seemed more accurate than it does now. Russian military doctrine revolves around tanks and armored vehicles. According to a U.S. official, Russia's battalion tactical units, of which 75% have been committed to the invasion, are predominantly mechanized forces designed to overwhelm the opposition with heavy firepower. However, anti-tank defenses such as the Javelin or the NLAW, a reusable fire and forget guided missile, are vulnerable to bugs. So, in today's video, we'll discuss the NLAW, its history, and more, so stay tuned. History. The Swedish Armed Forces requested that research into a new light anti-tank guided missile begin in the late 1990s. Initially, the project's goal was to create a system that was as simple and cost-effective as possible. However, as more research was conducted, the need for a man-portable anti-tank weapon with excellent short to mid-range effectiveness emerged. After being chosen by the British and Swedish defense authorities the previous year, the concept, developed by Bofors, gained traction in 2002 to 2003, satisfying difficult speculations for the next-generation light anti-tank weapon, also known as NLAW. Saab Bofors Dynamics in Eskilstuna and Karlskoga, Sweden, developed both the launcher and the missile, drawing on technologies from previous Bofors weapons like the RBS-56 Bill and the AT-4CS. In April 2014, Saab, which also provides the system software, revealed that they had been able to fine-tune the guidance system's predicted line of sight, resulting in an effective range of 800 meters and up against stationary targets. According to agreements reached between the United Kingdom and Sweden in 2002 and 2003, manufacturing of the system takes place largely in the United Kingdom. More than 10,000 units have been made so far, with each device costing between $30,000 and $40,000. The shelf life of each unit is approximately 20 years. Let's take a look at anti-tank missiles before we get to the NLAW. Anti-tank missiles are meant to destroy main battle tanks, which are more strongly armored than other armored vehicles. Russia's main battle tanks, which have been deployed in considerable numbers, are equipped with contemporary and superior armor technologies, such as explosive reactive armor. In other words, when a warhead hits the tank's armor, it bursts outward. This is done to deflect the blast and reduce the amount of damage done. However, against the current anti-tank missiles deployed by Ukrainian fighters, explosive reactive armor isn't much of a benefit. The NLAW and Javelin missiles are meant to target a tank from above in a top assault, attacking the tank's turret at its weakest point. This will either utterly destroy the tank or render the personnel inside unconscious. With catastrophic results, the missiles may also be deployed in direct fire mode on less well-armored vehicles like armored personnel carriers, structures, and even low-flying helicopters. For opposing troops, this makes them highly adaptable and lethal weapons. The range and simplicity of employment of anti-tank missiles are perhaps their most significant advantages. They're light, can be carried by a single soldier, and require little training to use. Due to their size and movement, they are also incredibly difficult to detect. These advanced missiles are fully guided fire and forget missiles, allowing a soldier to conceal or relocate immediately after shooting. Once shot, the bullet latches onto the target and steers itself. In the case of a javelin, this is accomplished by the use of infrared technology, in which the missile detects any heat signature existing in the tanks. Javelins are made up of two parts, a launch tube and a command launch unit with day and night controls and optical sights. A homing infrared guidance device on the nose of the Javelin missile allows the operator to launch the weapon and then move to avoid return fire. Because the Javelin isn't cheap, with each unit costing almost $200,000, most soldiers never get to use it. Despite its hefty size, the Javelin's targeting versatility is what makes it so successful. When attacking a tank or other armored vehicle, the Javelin will assault from a high angle, aiming for the vehicle's top, where the armor is thinnest. Russian tankers attempted to counter this by erecting cages on top of their tanks in order to destroy the Javelin before it impacted, reducing its force. Hundreds of Russian tanks have been destroyed, indicating that this has not been a successful countermeasure. The Javelin will take a more direct approach when attacking a stationary target, such as a structure or bunker. Javelins were also deployed against civilians in Afghanistan by U.S. Special Operations teams, which had larger resources than their conventional equivalents. The predictive line-of-sight technology is used in NLAW missiles. The guiding package evaluates the target's distance and speed, then navigates itself to the projected position. A single soldier can snipe a tank from a safe distance with this. NLAW. Even the most modern tanks are rendered obsolete by NLAW. It is the best-in-class dismounted light force for all conditions, including urban environments. They're the culmination of decades of weapon development devoted to developing compact, lightweight guided missiles that may have evened the battlefield power balance between the tank and the soldier. The NLAW weighs roughly half as much as the American-made Javelin anti-tank weapon, which was praised by Pentagon and White House officials and sent to Ukraine in large numbers, and is designed for use in the relatively close-range battles Ukrainian soldiers are having with invading Russian forces. The NLAW is a short-range anti-tank missile with hybrid features. It's not to be confused with either the American LAW or the British LAW-80, which are both rocket launchers. It has a strong 150mm high-explosive anti-tank warhead that can take out Russian main battle tanks at a close range. However, like other NATO-favored disposable launchers, it is a one-time use device with minimal optics and is exceedingly simple. Its firing mechanism is also unique. It sports an ergonomic grip on its right-hand side, behind the bulbous muzzle brake, instead of an incorporated lever or trigger on its launch tube. A rudimentary optical sight with 2.5x magnification is mounted on the launcher to target the NLAW. Night vision and red dot sights are also available upon request for improved accuracy. The NLAW is designed to be carried by troops against opposing armor and fortifications. It is somewhat heavier than a loaded FN-MAG or equivalent general-purpose machine gun. To cope with the former, the NLAW's regulated backblast, the diameter of its venturi is lower at 155mm than its bore, which is 152mm wide. It makes it ideal for ambushes in thickly wooded terrain and even building interiors. The NLAW operator can use an overfly top assault mode to avoid the hazards provided by current active protection systems and reactive armor. The missile is sent to the tank's turret where it explodes. Even if it's protected by an explosive reactive armor, its downward angle heat warhead perforates the thin top armor. The NLAW can discharge its warhead in indirect assault mode, like an enormous AT-4 with a huge punch, to demolish established positions. Even objects as close as 20 meters away can be fired at directly. It is a one-time use weapon system that cannot be reloaded. Furthermore, its range is limited, with a maximum reach of 600 meters for stationary targets. Against moving targets, the effective range is up to 400 meters. The guidance software on all modern missiles has been approved, and they can engage targets at ranges of up to 800 meters. Since 2009, the NLAW has attracted a devoted following throughout Europe, with large orders coming from Sweden, Finland, Luxembourg, and the United Kingdom, where it is known as the MBT-LAW. Russia does not appear to be as reliant on man-portable anti-tank weapons as Ukraine is. Its anti-tank capacity is now based on a large arsenal of tanks and aviation assets, such as assault helicopters. This might be owing to Ukraine's tiny tank arsenal being carefully managed and protected. However, because Russia has its own anti-tank missiles, this might change at any time. According to reports, Russian forces have sustained significant casualties due to anti-tank weapons. We've seen photographs and videos of Russian soldiers erecting homemade mesh screens and cages over their tanks in a somewhat futile attempt to defend themselves. According to unconfirmed data, of the 300 javelins launched in Ukraine, 280 armored vehicles may have been destroyed. This is a tremendous strike rate if the stories are correct. These weapons appear to have helped the Ukrainian army slow and block Russia's advance, but at a substantial cost to Russia. So, if you've made it in this far and are interested in learning more, watch our video on Ukraine arms and military weapons in 2022. So, what are your thoughts on the anti-javelin missiles? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.